Top model Gia got it all at once. She walked into New York 4 years ago from Philadelphia and captured the limelight instantly.
Here we are in the land of make-believe, right? Fantasy, okay.
Dreams come true.
Getting to look super beautiful is a complex process.
Before the word supermodel meant anything, there was Gia. She wasn't trained, rehearsed, or molded. She was instinct in motion, raw and magnetic, impossible to ignore. In the late 1970s, when fashion demanded perfection, Gia shattered the illusion. She didn't just pose for the camera. She confronted it, turning every photo into something alive, something real. The world called her beautiful. Photographers called her electric. But beneath the confidence and allure was a young woman aching to be seen, to be loved.
Let me get it. Now stay that way. Beautiful like that. Now bring your eyes slowly after each pop to the camera.
To make a beautiful girl super beautiful, you need a photographer with the legendary talents of Francesco Scavullo, who demonstrated how a cover girl is photographed.
Behind the flashbulbs and fame hid loneliness, fear, and a pain too deep for the spotlight to reach. And when that pain finally consumed her, Gia vanished, gone at just 26. What remained were photographs that still breathe her spirit, and a story that whispers a haunting truth. Even the brightest stars burn out when no one sees the person behind the light. Gia Marie Carangi was born in 1960 in Philadelphia, in a tough, working-class neighborhood where life demanded resilience. Her childhood was far from peaceful. Her home echoed with arguments, shouting, and slammed doors. Her parents' marriage was turbulent, and when her mother finally walked out, Gia was just a small girl, left staring at the empty doorway where love used to live. That day changed everything. The warmth and security every child needs were gone, replaced by confusion, anger, and a deep, aching loneliness. As she grew older, that emptiness followed her.
Didn't build into a model. I just sort of became one.
Gia became restless, craving attention, chasing affection in the wrong places, trying to fill a void that never seemed to close. Beneath her rebellious energy was a tender, wounded heart, one that only wanted to be seen, to be loved, to be enough. Long before the cameras, the fame, or the headlines, Gia was just a lost girl wandering the streets of Philadelphia, dreaming of escape, and hoping that somewhere out there, someone would finally stay. In 1978, Gia's life took a turn that no one could have predicted. She entered a small local fashion show, just another restless teenager trying something new, and suddenly, everything changed. A photographer spotted her in the crowd and saw something rare, something electric. Within weeks, Gia was on a bus to New York City, chasing a future she hadn't even dreamed of. The city was wild, fast, loud, and unpredictable. But to Gia, it felt like home. She walked into the offices of Wilhelmina Models, where the legendary Wilhelmina Cooper took one look at her and knew she was different. Gia had a natural spark, a mix of innocence, defiance, and raw emotion that no one could fake. Under Wilhelmina's wing, Gia's rise was unstoppable. In less than a year, her face was everywhere, on the covers of Vogue, in fashion campaigns, and under the flashing lights of photographers who couldn't get enough. Gia didn't just wear fashion. She lived it. She wasn't trying to be perfect. She was real, unpredictable, and unforgettable.
Jeff here has been telling me that I shake too much, that my nerves are bad, but that's just because I still haven't finished my growing pains, but as soon as I do, I'll be fine.
In a world built on surface beauty, Gia made everyone see something deeper. It was the golden age of fashion, and Gia Carangi was its wild heartbeat. Her face was everywhere, on glossy magazine covers, runways, and billboards that defined beauty for a generation. Directors wanted her for their shoots, stylists fought to dress her, and photographers saw magic every time she stepped in front of a lens. But Gia wasn't like the others. She didn't pose. She didn't pretend. She confronted the camera with raw emotion, giving it truth instead of perfection. Every glance was defiant, every movement alive. In an industry obsessed with illusion, Gia was painfully, beautifully real. She lived without filters, never hiding who she was, even when it shocked people. At a time when few dared, Gia was open about loving women. Her relationship with makeup artist Sandy Linter became her only calm in the storm, a fragile space where she could just be human. Behind the flashing lights and whispered fame, there were moments of quiet love, fleeting laughter, and soft touches between chaos. Yet, Beneath the surface of that beauty burned a loneliness, a sadness no photograph could capture, and no love could completely cure. In 1980, Gia Karangi's world began to crumble. Wilhelmina Cooper, her mentor, protector, and the only person who truly understood her, lost her battle with lung cancer. For Gia, it wasn't just a friend's death. It was the collapse of her emotional foundation. Wilhelmina had been her guide through the chaos of fame, her steady light in an unpredictable world. Without her, Gia was lost, adrift in an industry that adored her beauty but ignored her pain. The grief was unbearable. To silence the storm inside her, Gia turned to heroin, at first, to escape the loneliness, and soon, because she couldn't live without it. What started as a quiet indulgence became a desperate dependency. One day, she'd walk into a studio glowing with life, the camera devouring her intensity. The next, she'd be alone in a dim apartment, needle in hand, chasing a piece that never came. The transformation was heartbreaking. Missed shoots, unsteady hands, vacant eyes, the signs were there for all to see. But no one reached out. Whispers replaced applause, and invitations stopped coming. The same world that once called her unforgettable now pretended she didn't exist. In an industry built on illusion, Gia discovered the cruel truth: beauty is celebrated only while it's flawless, and the moment it falters, the world looks away. By 1981, Gia Karangi's name, once a symbol of wild beauty and rebellion, had become a whisper of warning in the fashion world. The same magazines that once fought for her now moved on to newer, safer faces. Cindy Crawford, with her beauty and poise, was often called the new Gia, a reminder of what the industry had lost and what it wanted to forget. Agencies dropped her, photographers stopped calling, and friends vanished into the glittering crowd of New York nightlife. They called her unreliable, difficult, crazy, but no one called to ask if she was okay. Gia returned home to Philadelphia, desperate for a fresh start. Rehab centers came and went, long nights of withdrawal, whispered prayers, and promises she couldn't keep. Her mother and brothers visited, searching for traces of the bright, fearless girl they once knew. Gia filled notebooks with letters she never sent, apologies, dreams, fragments of hope. But the world had already moved on. She took small jobs, blending into the city she once escaped, her beauty fading like an old photograph. The cameras were gone. The lights had dimmed. Gia, once fashion's brightest star, was now just another lost soul in the crowd. By 1985, Gia Karangi was a shadow of the woman who once ruled the fashion world. Her body was frail, her spirit worn thin after years of battling addiction and disappointment. She had tried to heal, to rebuild, but life kept pulling her back into the darkness. Then, one shared needle changed everything. Gia contracted HIV. At a time when fear outweighed understanding, AIDS was seen not as an illness, but as a curse. Gia became one of the first famous women known to have it. Yet the media, once obsessed with her, said nothing. No stories, no compassion, just silence. The glamorous studios and flashing lights were replaced by cold hospital rooms and the soft hum of machines. Nurses cared for her quietly, but few visitors came. The friends, photographers, and designers who once adored her kept their distance. The world that once called her beautiful now turned its back. On November 18, 1986, at just 26 years old, Gia Marie Karangi passed away, alone, far from the spotlight that had both made and destroyed her. No one from the fashion world attended her funeral. The cameras didn't click. The flashbulbs had dimmed. The first true supermodel was gone, far too soon. Years passed before the world remembered the name Gia Karangi. For a long time, she existed only in faded magazine covers and whispered stories from the past. Then came Thing of Beauty, the book that dared to tell her truth without glamour or filters. And later, in 1998, the HBO film Gia, where Angelina Jolie brought her to life with haunting honesty. Suddenly, the world looked back. People saw Gia not as a tragic figure, but as a woman, fragile yet fierce, broken yet brilliant. She was called the first supermodel, but she was much more than that. Gia represented the beauty and the danger of fame, the intoxicating rush of being seen, and the loneliness of being forgotten. Today, models, artists, and photographers still speak her name with reverence. Her rawness, her defiance, her refusal to fake perfection, all of it remains timeless. Gia's story isn't just about fashion or fame. It's about humanity, about the cost of being real in a world built on illusion. Though her light burned fast, it burned bright, And decades later, it still flickers in every photo, every story, every soul that dares to live unapologetically. Her story ends here, not with fame, not with sorrow, but with silence. In the stillness of her memory, her presence lingers, haunting, beautiful, unforgettable. The cameras stopped flashing long ago, yet her shadow still walks the runway of our collective memory. If Gia's story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share this video, because sometimes the quiet ones leave the biggest mark.